Welcome to REST, which stands for Resiliency and Empowerment Seminar today. I am your host, Susan Gans. I am the founder and business strategist at Gans Strategic Solutions, where we operate at the intersection of business and human behavior. This show is about highlighting the leaders of small and mid-sized businesses, heads of nonprofits, as well as other community leaders. We hear about their journeys, their organizations, and what resiliency and empowerment mean to them. Today, I'm so excited to be speaking with Lee Miller. A little bit about Lee. He is a graduate of Harvard Law School. He's a speaker, trainer, consultant, and executive coach in the fields of leadership, innovation, influencing, sales, team dynamics, and negotiating, which is a mouthful. He does a lot. He is an adjunct professor of management at Seton Hall University, where he teaches MBA courses in influencing and negotiating. And he also serves as an adjunct professor at Columbia University and USC. He teaches graduate level courses in influencing and negotiating, as well as on human resources strategy and organizational culture. And if that weren't enough, he is an author. He has written a couple of books, one called Up, Influence Power, and The You Perspective, The Art of Getting What You Want, and A Woman's Guide to Successful Negotiating. And in fact, I have a copy right here. And he served previously as the Chief Human Resources Officer at TV Guide, USA Networks in Barneys, New York, a Vice President of Labor and Employee Relations at Macy's, and a partner co-chair of the Employment and Labor Law Group at Shanley and Fisher, which is now Drinker Brittle. He's a frequent speaker. He's appeared on many popular shows, and I'm so excited to have him today. So welcome, Lee, to our show.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for that introduction. I don't even recognize myself.
You have accomplished a lot. So take us back to the early days of your career. You studied law, and then you had these human resources positions and a professor in your own business. So take us back. How did this all happen?
Sure. My experience is that you don't find your careers find you. And that doesn't mean you don't have any control of your careers. It kind of means that you have less control than you think. Most of us think of our careers as kind of like a map. You have a starting point, you plan out the roads, the highways you're going to go on. Occasionally you hit a detour, you go off the highway, you come back. I think of careers more as a journey where you start, they give you a compass, you know what direction you want to go in, you have an idea of where your goal is, and then you take off, and obstacles pop up along the way. You stop when you hit certain things that look interesting, and you learn new skills along the way, and each place you stop at sets you up for the next place on your journey. So when I went to law school, I thought I wanted to be a trial lawyer. When I graduated, I joined a big blue chip national firm as a trial lawyer, working for an amazing partner who taught me more about influencing and negotiating than I think he did teach me about doing a trial. And he was a great lawyer. And I was good at it. I tried cases, and I was so good at it that after a year, the firm decided that I should be in their most lucrative practice, airplane crash litigation.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
exactly. That was my feeling exactly. And I didn't see me spending the rest of my life investigating air crashes and litigating the injuries and deaths. I guess in aircraft, it's usually deaths. That isn't where I wanted to spend the rest of my life. So I didn't really want to go over to the most important partner in the firm and say, gee, thank you for this wonderful offer, but I really don't want to work for you. So I think that would have been a career limiting move. So instead, I went over to the partner in the firm who ran their employment and labor group, who I knew because I'd been an intern there over the summer before I graduated law school, and I'd done a project or two for him, and I knew him. And I went up to him and I said, gee, I'm really interested in the area of employment and labor law, and is there any chance that you might have a need for me? And when he said yes, I let him do battle with the crash litigation partner, and I ended up being an employment lawyer. And there began my career, and that led me to the next career of being the head of HR at Barney's, TV Guide, USA Networks, and then that led me to the career I'm in now, which is a professor where I teach leadership, influencing, and negotiating, and do training and executive coaching in the field of influencing, negotiating, and sales.
So it seems like it came naturally to you because you negotiated your path.
Like I said, careers find you, and you either see things as, oh my God, this is horrible. I guess I have to take this job in aircraft litigation, and or you say, okay, this is an obstacle in the road. Where do I go from here? How do I take this obstacle and turn it into an opportunity? And it's being flexible and adaptable. And yes, it helps to be a good negotiator. It helps to know how to influence people. It helps. I mean, when I think back at it, the strategy of influencing by, instead of saying, no, I don't want to do that, going to someone else to basically fight that battle who was in a better position to fight that battle and get him to have that discussion rather than me have that discussion was a significant influencing strategy that was very effective.
Fantastic. So tell us about, were there any particular mentors and sponsors along the way in your career, and did they change? And do you have different mentors and sponsors for different areas of your life?
I think every boss I had was a teacher. I don't know if they were mentors or sponsors, as that term is used today. But they all were teachers. They all helped me in my career. But frankly, I took advantage of the opportunity. They didn't offer to be mentors and sponsors, but I learned from them. I learned from what they did well, and I learned as much about from what they did poorly, so I could learn to do it differently or not do what they were doing. So every person who is talented, and every boss I had was amazingly talented. I worked for people like Barry Dillard at IAC and Ed Finkelstein and at Macy's, and so I had some great bosses. The legal partners I worked with were absolutely amazing. So from each one, I learned different lessons, and each one helped me to grow.
And it's so important to learn along the way. As a mentor once told me, is like, if you're not learning, you're dying. So it seems like learning is a thematic for you.
I agree. If you're not learning, you're not growing, you're going backwards.
Absolutely. So what inspired you to write the book with your daughter about women and negotiating?
Perfect example of an obstacle in the road. I started my practice. So TV Guide, head of HR, the chief human resources officer, taken over by another company who, as you would expect, had their own chief human resources officer. And, I was not needed anymore. So on we went. So here I am, unemployed, got a severance package. I figured, heck, this is a great time to start my own business. I basically have some clients. I've got my skills. I've got a lot of people out there who know me, think I'm really good as a trainer. So business is going great. Oh, I didn't mention this was 2001. 6 months later, boom, 9/11. Boom, no business. My business is shut down for all practical purpose because after the attack, no one was interested in training. They were only interested in security. So I literally had about, I don't know, 6 months thereafter where I had no business, kind of like now, kind of like it was in 2008. So I've had these different periods of time where, because the training and coaching business does really well if you're good at it, But when the economy slows down, stops, hits a bump in the road, those are kind of the first things that go on pause. So here I am, no business, trying to figure out what to do, talking to my daughter. She has this idea that I should write this book. She's always, I think, had this idea, but we started talking about it. I said, I can't write this book. How am I going to write a book on women in negotiating? And she said, well, all you have to do is teach the readers what you taught me growing up. And my daughter's an amazing negotiator. She's a commercial real estate broker. Before that, she was an investment banker. So she's actually the best negotiator I know. So anyone who needs a real estate broker at Cushman and Wakefield, she's your person. But that said, we decided, frankly, I didn't have a whole lot to do. We were going to write this book together. I went to my publisher, McGraw-Hill. I'd written another book before. This wasn't my first book. So I pitched this idea to them. They liked the idea. We wrote the book. And by the time we'd finished writing the book, the economy was back. And along with my influencing and negotiating and leadership training programs that I was doing, I now had a book. I now had a program that I developed on strategic influencing and negotiating for women. I was frankly, my daughter and I went on tour around the country. We were doing seminars. So did, I don't know, 20 cities in the US. And then
Wow.
I did Asia. She didn't want to do Asia. She stayed here. But so it launched a whole other business that to this day I do programs on women in negotiating, women in influencing, in addition to the more general programs that I do. Every
Fantastic.
every adversity is a source of opportunity if you take advantage of it.
And so that brings us to resiliency. That's a perfect example of resiliency. And what about resiliency now?
I,
And
I think I think resiliency is an attitude. If you now, for instance, if you see this pandemic as a personal disaster, and I've got to tell you, I'm teaching now, but and I've got my clients who were ongoing before this started, but no one is calling me up saying, "Gee, let's do a new training," or "I want coaching." So if you see it as a disaster, when this is over, it's going to be a disaster because you will have survived, but you will not have positioned yourself to take advantage of the opportunity. So, what am I doing now? In addition to working with my existing clients, I've developed some online training that I'm doing. I've done a program recently for the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. I've done a program for a women's group. So, online programs, I'm doing a couple of those online programs for some existing clients. I'm doing all my coaching has moved online. It's Zoom these days. It's Zoom. It'll when we go back, I'm sure I will do a blend. I will do because in the past I had done some online coaching, but now it'll be partly in person and partly online. So I've developed a new set of skills and honed a new set of skills that'll be very valuable going forward. So that's what resilience is to me. And if you're resilient, if you have the right attitude, if you take the opportunities that literally fall in your face when even when things are not going well, there's always opportunity. Change is opportunity.
absolutely, we all have choices about how we are showing up during this challenging time, and some people are in different places. But uh, you know, I love that what you said. Like you have the power and the choice, and it's within you, which brings me to the question about empowerment.
Sure.
How are you empowering others? How do you empower yourself?
Well, I think that's what my business is. But when I was a CHRO, my view of empowerment was that of a servant leader. Pick good people, set goals for them, support them, and then get out of their way. They're creative. They will make it happen. You're there to help them, support them, but it's their creativity, their energy that you really want to unleash. That to me is what empowerment's all about.
It's such a great way of stating it, is the unleashing the creativity um, with within oneself, and letting the magic kind of happen, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So, if you had to go back in time and give advice to your younger self, what would you say?
I think I would tell my younger self to find work that you enjoy because you spend a lot of time at work. But I'd also tell the younger me to remember that work is not the most important thing in your life. That's family and friends. And that's really what you ought to focus on.
Uh, well said. I just came from a memorial service honoring a colleague in the diversity and inclusion space, and just you could feel the love and the energy and just the way her life was being celebrated. So I appreciate that perspective. What can you share with us about integrating different aspects of your time? Speaking of family and friends, how do you weave in professional time and family time and personal time? Um, what advice do you have?
Well, when you run your own business, you're kind of working all the time. Uh, not all the time, but it's you have to control your time because you could be working all the time. I now, well, I love my work, so and I love teaching, which is a great, great joy passing on what I've learned to younger people and helping them. So I really do enjoy that. I kind of view that as charity work because it doesn't pay anywhere near as well as being an entrepreneur. But I try to combine my time at work with my life. In other words, I don't let my work be the sole focus. So I do a lot of traveling in my work. I train all over the world. Every time I am training, I take some time a week before, a week after to actually get to see and enjoy the place that I am. When I was, frankly, when I was a CHRO, I never did that. Huge mistake. I regret it. I traveled all around the world, never saw anything but the hotel. I immediately, after whatever I was doing was over, got on a plane, uh, came back home because I was just so critical to the operation, or at least so I thought at the time. You're not. You're not in today's world. Not only you're not that critical to everything, you can be there no matter where you are. I can do business from Malaysia. I can do business from Germany. I can do business from Singapore. So I can teach. I can literally teach online if I'm traveling in Asia. So I just have to get up in the middle of the night to do it. But you can do it. So we're connected. So you can enjoy your life no matter where you are. And it's good to smell the roses. It's good to stop and say, "Gee, this is a beautiful place. Let me enjoy it."
Absolutely, it's taking that time, and we're so lucky to have technology that enables us to be anywhere and stay connected and then still work in the things that we love to do.
Exactly.
Great. So, what would you like our viewers to remember about our conversation that we're having today?
I think I would quote a recent Carnegie Mellon study, which concluded that 85% of success is based on your ability to influence, communicate, and negotiate, and only 15% of success is based on your technical skills. And I, my life experience as a leader has led me to share that view because your first job, it may be because you're a great marketer or a great accountant or whatever it is, but the higher up you get in an organization or when you're in business for yourself, it's all about getting other people to support you, to support your ideas, to work with you. And that's all about influencing and negotiating. And that's why, frankly, I chose, of all the things I could do with my life, I've chose to work on teaching and training people on how to be more effective as influencers and negotiators because frankly that's the key to their success That's the key to the success of your business. And that's really how I view what I do. I make individuals more successful. I make businesses more successful.
So I'm going to repeat that because this is an important message that 85% of success, according to this recent Carnegie Mellon study, has to do with your influencing and negotiating skills and really about showing up. How do you show up? And 15% is the technical part. So before we go, please tell our audience how we can find you, Lee, because I want them to find you.
You can go to my website, negotiation plus, that's plus.com. And my email is negotiationplus@gmail.com.
So the website is negotiationplus.com, right? And
Mm-hmm. No,
negotiation plus at gmail.com. Did I get
correct.
that right?
You did.
Great. Thank you so much, Lee, for sharing your wisdom and your best practices. And we will certainly keep in mind that importance of how you show up and how you influence others in being successful. Until our audience, we look forward to seeing you for our next conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Susan.
You're welcome.